I am a multidimensional being having a human experience. I am a multidimensional being having a human experience. What's good, YouTube? Hope all is well. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world, and I hope you're enjoying your day. Today's topic will be about growth and the two main points of growth, which are physical growth and spiritual growth. Of course, there are many different forms of growth, i.e., economic growth or emotional growth. There's different forms of growth, but today we're going to be speaking about physical growth, and we're also going to be speaking about spiritual growth. So today we'll start off with the physical growth, and basically the physical growth is what we all see in the third dimensional realm, which is the stage from the womb to the child, to the teenager to the adult. You're growing in stages. As you're a teenager is no longer doing what a baby does because you're growing, right? You're not supposed to, but yeah, you're growing, right? So with the physical growth, it's more, you can actually see, you can visualize, you can see that, this person, I haven't seen you in a long time, this person has grown, But we may feel that, eating food and growing, that's the growth that we need. But the real growth that we need is that spiritual growth, because the physical growth is external, but the spiritual growth comes from within. It's an internal growth, right? And that is actually the most important. That's the one that people don't see, And the spiritual growth is really what determines how far you actually grow. Because in this world that we live in, they say when you get to 21, you're an adult. And I don't know if it's for women. I don't know, don't quote me on this. I think it's 20 or 19, 20 or 21, one of them. And it's around that age, 21, that both the man and the woman, I think the woman stops growing before the man, according to what they say, their statistics. But overall, by the age of 21, 22, according to the system and what we actually see, you grow, your physical growth kind of goes on a pause. So my question is, what happens after 21? What happens after the physical growth, quote unquote? Because you're still growing, your hair is still growing, and your cells and everything is still growing. But in terms of your height and things like that, it kind of stops, at 21, and we kind of feel like, okay, we're an adult now, so we've made it to adulthood, we can do what we want, that this is it. Where in actual fact, it's not it. Because the spiritual growth, the inner growth, the soul-core growth is the actual main growth. And the reason why I say this is because with the physical growth, there's only so far you can go, right? But with the internal and the spiritual growth, you then begin to know that I am more than just my body. You then know that, it's more than what they are telling us. It's more than what we are actually seeing on the surface, But when you start to tap into the spiritual growth now, you start to unlock some doors that you can't see with the naked eye. you know, because the spiritual growth, let me tell you, with physical growth, you can kind of cheat the physical growth. You can manipulate the physical growth. But you see, when it comes to spiritual growth, all right, let me give you an example. Physical growth, let's say school example, right? You can be in like year 5 and you have to do an exam, right? You don't pass the exam, but they still pass you, quote unquote. You can manipulate the physical realm, the physical growth, right? But in the spiritual growth, you can't do that. Because if, in this, for example, if like the spiritual growth, you're in class 5, right? If you don't pass that class 5, trust and know that you're gonna stay there until you actually get it, until you actually pass to the next level. You are not gonna move on. And I find that very significant, because in this day and age that we live today, there is loads, right, of adult children walking around, running around. They look mature, they look like an adult. Their body is formed, their physical appearance is formed. A man, he might be 21, you know, he's got his beard going on, whatnot. A woman, you know, she's formed, you know, her bust is formed, you know, her structure is formed. But when we get to the spiritual is more psychological. Spiritual is within. So a lot of adults are running around that, yeah, on paper they are, you know, 20, 21, 25, 30, 50 and whatnot. But in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual world, they're nothing but 4 or 5 year old children running around, you know, in an adult body. And so this can be very dangerous, you know, because everything has, you don't come out the womb as an adult and, you know, 10, 15, 20 years later, you're a baby. No, that's backwards. So I feel that it should be very, very important for us to really tap within and, you know, deal with that spiritual growth, you know, because a lot of us feel that we don't have to deal with the spiritual growth because no one's not going to see it. So what do? We put on fancy clothes and we only work on our outer appearance. Meanwhile, our inner, because everything that is within should reflect outside, right? So if you're really growing within yourself, you're growing, you're doing the inner work, you know, you're loving yourself, you know, you're finding out your flaws, you know, you're embracing your flaws and you're embracing yourself, right? Because all is you. And when an individual actually takes the time to actually do these kind of things, they then begin to grow. They then begin to develop, because by rights, it should be simultaneously they are doing these things. You don't want to just grow in the physical and not grow in the spiritual, and not grow in the spiritual and not grow in the physical. We should both do it at the same time. But if you ask me, if you had to do one or the other, I would say the spiritual growth is the most important type of growth, because the physical growth is inevitable. You know, you're gonna eat, you're gonna grow, but spiritual growth comes from within. That is inner work that you have to do. That's inner work that an individual has to put in by themselves, for the betterment of themselves and the betterment for others and the betterment for humanity as a collective, right? Because they understand that in bettering myself and in bettering my world and my universe, I then can better someone else's world and someone else's universe, right? And yeah, this topic just really came to me, and I was like, do you know what? I have to drop a little video on this one because I think it's very, very important that we acknowledge the spiritual realm as well, and not just, you know, put it on standby because no one sees it. And that's where your real brownie points come from. The universe or the Most High, the guardian angels or the ancestors, whoever you perceive to be, you know, the source of life, you know, that is where, you know, it really comes from. It doesn't come from putting on beautiful clothes and looking crisp and all that kind of, that's all nice, but you don't get brownie points for that. You don't get brownie points from, you know, narcissistic behavior and manipulation, which is trying to, you know, put yourself out to be something that you really ain't. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's easy, because don't forget, because people don't really see the spiritual realm. You're seeing the physical. So what people is seeing or being put right in front of them, that's what they take on. That's what they think that is it. But in reality, that is not it. The spiritual realm is everything. If you're able to master yourself, tap in within yourself, you know, tap into the spiritual realm and go through the stages, stage by stage. It's not going to be easy. It's not overnight, but it will be very worth it. It will be absolutely worth it. You know, you'll go through the hard times and the struggles and the whatnot, but it's only through the struggles that you grow and expand. It's only through going through the, you know, the forest is how you come out the other side and said, yo, I actually made it. You know? Because it's only through, they say pressure brings diamonds. Without, you know, pressure and force and this and that, you know, most of the greats wouldn't be great without resistance, you know? So, yeah, this is just a small message I wanted to bring to my beautiful people today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in another video. Thank you so much. See you. Bye.